Hello and welcome back to the Chromosomatics podcast. We were supposed to have Jasmine Clemente on this week, but unfortunately, she couldn't make the recording that we had set up last weekend. So we'll get her back on probably in the next couple of weeks. But still looking forward to having Jasmine on. But today, the long-awaited episode for me, at least, I've been wanting to talk about this. I've been mentioning it in passing in a few of the other episodes, but we finally get to talk about intention and water and how those two play a part in what we do here at Chromosometics and how we use the harmonic egg, right? So, uh, one of the things we have to talk about immediately when we talk about water and the intelligence of water and how it can hold memory and pass memory from one water molecule to another is the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto, and he studied water. He started off studying water in its response to music and different types of music. So what he noticed is that if he would have a glass of water and he would play like real heavy metal music around it, and then he would take a sample of the water, put it in a petri dish, freeze it, and then look at it under a microscope to actually look at the crystalline structure of the water. And he noticed when he was playing the heavy metal music, the water would form these really ugly structures with really no order to them. It looked like chaos in the structure of the water crystals. He would play classical music on water, and then he would do the same process, freeze it in a petri dish, look at it in a microscope, and he would see these beautiful, very structured water crystals forming in that water. And he came to the conclusion that, okay, there's something about the heavy metal music that's disturbing the water as opposed to the classical music, which is something kind of soothing to the water and would create structure in the water and an order in the water as opposed to chaos, right? This was a little controversial when he did that because people were like, well, I can't listen to rock music anymore. It's going to ruin the water in my body, right? And I think one woman said her kids said that, like, is it detrimental to listen to rock music now because of these experiments? Well, I think later he found out that it's not necessarily the type of music that's causing the differences in the crystalline structure of the water. It's the intention behind the music, not the music itself. Sound is a carrier for intention. And this is what he figured out. He did other experiments where he would take a plant, which is made of mostly water, right? So he would take a plant and he would label "I love you" on the plant. He would take another plant and label "I hate you. I want you to die." And he would label the plant with that. And every morning he would wake up and he would look at the plant, and look at one and say "I love you," look at the other one and say "I hate you. I want you to die." The plant's got the same amount of sunlight, same amount of food. The only difference was what he was speaking to the plant and the label that he put on the plant. And he noticed that the plant that he said "I love you" to every morning thrived. Same sunlight, same food as the one that he looked at every morning and said, "I hate you. I want you to die." That one actually started to spoil. It actually started to rot. And what he would do, he realized, okay, the plant's not hearing me. He doesn't have ears. It's not hearing me. It's the water in the plant. That plant's made mostly of water. So it's the water in the plant that's responding to this intention of love, or in the other case, this intention of hate. It's the water that's responding to that. And so he would take samples out of the one he said "I love you" to, and it had these beautiful crystalline structures in the water. And the one he said "I hate you, I want you to die" would have these chaotic structures in the water molecules. I mean, the water crystals. After he froze them and looked at them in the petri dish, and he realized when the water is actually responding to the intention. It's not necessarily the sound or the type of music, it's the intention when the music is actually created that travels with the music. And that's what I mean when I say music is a carrier for intention. Um, Intention also comes off as its own frequency that water responds to, even if you don't add sound to it. So you can look at that plant and think, I love you, or you can think, I hate you, I want you to die. And it has the same effect. It's not using sound coming out of your mouth as a carrier, it's actually using your thought waves as the carrier. Both work. It's just the thing with the sound is it becomes portable. So now you can put your intention in something that's actually recorded and you can pass that along to someone. So think about it. If you look someone in the eyes and you just think I love you, most people can feel that. They can feel that coming off of you. Just the same way if you say I love you and you don't mean it and they don't feel it, they know you just said it, but you don't mean it because they didn't feel that thought wave. They didn't feel that intention come from you. Right. So you can look at someone and pass along the intention, but what if you created a beautiful song and you put that intention in the song? That person can put that in their phone and carry that around with them. It makes it portable because that music became a carrier for that intention and it recorded the intention. The energy is in the music as well. So you don't have to stand in front of that person and think, I love you. It's in the song. They're carrying it around. They can listen to it anytime they want, and it'll have the same effect if you put your intention in the music because the music can hold it. It's almost like a recording of the intention, and that's a key thing to understand. Um, Water responds to intention almost immediately. One of the experiments that Dr. Emoto did is he had a group of people, I think parents and children, stand around a glass or bottle of tap water. And when he took a look at the tap water, he took a sample of the tap water, he froze it in a petri dish, looked at it under a microscope, and zoomed down to the crystalline structure of the water, and it was complete chaos. And he realized at that point that tap water is dead on arrival because it's traveling through pipes at right angles. And that's killing the water as it's traveling through the pipes at right angles because water does not travel through right angles in nature. Water curves, it creates its own curve. Water doesn't experience right angle turns in nature. It's just not natural. And it actually affects the crystalline structure of the water. So, this water that he had these people stand around was dead on arrival. It was chaotic on arrival. And he had them set an intention of gratitude very quickly, and then they left. Then he started taking samples of that water, and it began to form structure. It went from chaos to actually forming structure, and it kept forming structure on its own, just with a single spark of gratitude from a group of people that stood around it and just did it very quickly. It kept going after the people left, and it ended up being this very beautiful crystalline structure. Um, just moments after these people stood around it and sent gratitude to the water responded. So think about the whole custom of praying over your food, right? Say your grandmother's cooking the food, right? She's going to put love in the food. Your grandmother, your mother, she's always putting love in the food. So when she serves it up on the table, you don't have to change the structure of the water of that food. Most of the food, almost all of the food that we eat is mostly water. We're made of mostly water. That chicken that's on your plate was mostly water when it was running around on the farm. It was still mostly water. Now you cook it, it's even more water. You put gravy on it and sauces and all kinds of things. So it's even more water. So what we're doing when we get our food and we send this intention to our food that we call blessing or grace, and some of us send love to the food, some send gratitude. It's different positive energies that we send to our food that is mostly water, and it's actually changing the crystalline structure of the water, just like the people did when they sent gratitude to the bottle of water. The food that you're eating is mostly water. You're mostly water. So water holds memory. So if you change the crystalline structure of the water before you eat it, we call it food, but it's still mostly water, right? If you change it before you eat it, when that water goes into your body, water carries memory and it can pass memory along. So that food that you just blessed, which is mostly water, is going into your body, interacting with the water that's already in your body, and passing along the memory of that gratitude or that blessing or that structure. If you want to zoom down to the physical level, it changes the structure of that water and it passes the memory of that structure onto the other existing water in your body because you're still mostly water. So it's interesting when you listen to certain people when they bless their food, they say, I pray that this food will nourish me. And when they're saying things, it's actually happening because they're changing the crystalline structure of the water. The water is going to hold that memory and it can pass that memory along to the water that's already in your body. So you're creating structure with your intention, and then you're passing that along into your physical body to merge with the rest of the water and pass that memory along. So it's interesting we have these customs, but there's actually an actual science behind that. If you're in a restaurant and the food's being prepared in the kitchen, I used to work in a kitchen with chefs and was taught by chefs. I know how hectic it is in a kitchen. It is not positive energy in there. It's not the same love in the preparation of the food that your grandmother has because she wants to be there. She's happy to be there. A lot of these people aren't happy to be there. They're being yelled at, they're being cursed out. All of that energy is being absorbed in the water of the food that they're cooking. From the time it's raw to after it's cooked, it's still mostly water. And water is absorbing all of that intention that's in that kitchen. So by the time it comes out and it's sitting on your plate, it's in your best interest actually to do something intentional to change the structure of that water because you don't know how chaotic it may have been in that kitchen, and that's going to be reflected when it hits the table. The water's already been exposed to it. The water, aka food, which is mostly water, has already been exposed to it. And it's just culture. We know that this is something in most cultures that we have to do, whether it's religious or not. I've seen people who aren't religious who bless their food. But I just wanted to kind of throw in the science behind what we're actually doing when that happens. So you may ask, okay, so what does this have to do with wellness and what we do at Chromosomatics Wellness, how we use this with the harmonic egg? So one of the things I loved about the harmonic egg, in the way Gail has this structured and how it's supposed to be used is that you have to set an intention before you actually start your session. And that is key because that intention is actually going to ultimately affect the water in your body. It's going to program the water in your body. And we always tell people to drink more water after the session. That's really for two reasons. One, that harmonic egg with the sacred geometry, when you add sound and light to that particular shape, it can create like very low level scalar waves. And scalar waves can dehydrate you. Low level scalar waves can they go through you because they're faster than the speed of light. They go through you and they kind of take water with it. So they can slightly dehydrate you. So we want to make sure you drink more water after the session. But also, the water in your body, along with your intention, has just been programmed. Your intention that you set when you get in the egg actually creates a structure in the water in your body. And water holds memory and it can pass along memory. So you think about it. If you program the water that's existing in your body, it's not going to stay there forever. That water is going to come out of you somehow. You may urinate it out, you may sweat it out. The water is going to be released, right? So if you put more water in there, the water that just got programmed can program the new water that's being put in the body. I always make the analogy to my clients. It's, say, for instance, if you you had a virus on your computer, right? And it ate up all your memory. But what if this was a virus that you actually wanted? You wanted this to be on your computer. This was something that was actually making the computer run faster or something. But it ate up all your memory. Well, if it was a virus that you wanted, you would go out and buy more memory and give it more space to spread. And it's kind of what's happening with water in terms of how it's being programmed from the harmonic egg and your intention. You want to give it more room, especially you want to put more water in the body so that that water that's been programmed, that has that memory and has the ability to pass that memory on to new water, will do just that. It will pass that along to the new water that's entering the body. And that's this kind of the science behind what we're talking about when we say you drink water to integrate. You're integrating that memory and the current water in your body into this new water that's entering the body. Water can actually pass on memory. That's another thing that Dr. Emoto found out. And you're seeing this with other people around the world who are studying water. Another one is Veda Austin. Really check out Veda Austin's work. She's even working with kids and showing them how to set intentions, how to literally put pictures next to water and then would freeze it slightly and you would see the water duplicate the picture. She's even taking fertile seeds, and she would take a fertile seed and put it in a petri dish full of water, right? She would take the seed out. Now, it's a fertile seed, mind you. And then she would freeze it and then take it out. And you would see in the water the shape of the flower that that seed produces. So somehow the water can read the information inside of the fertile seed. She took another seed that was infertile. It was a sterile seed that she put in a petri dish. And then she took it out. She froze the water and looked at it. All the water did in this case was duplicate the shape of the seed because the seed was barren. There was no information in the seed. So the water couldn't get in and read the information and then create the flower because there was no information in it. And that really makes you think about what are you really doing when you stick a seed in soil and then you add water. What is that water really doing? Is the water actually reading the information in the seed, then passing it along to the soil and telling the soil what it needs to form? Because the water actually read the information in the seed? Because that appears as what it's doing when you look at the water and you freeze it, it's showing you the picture of what the seed looks like when it's a flower. So I think there's a lot more we need to learn about water and seeing it as a technology. We just follow these procedures. We take a seed, we stick it in the earth, we put water in it. But what is really happening there? Is it the water that's interpreting what's in the seed, or is it the soil, or is it both, or are they working together? I think these are things that we haven't even really looked into, you know, in science. I think there's some things to discover about water, and thankfully, Dr. Moto, Veda Austin, and others are really looking into this, and I think we'll see water in a completely different light in the future in terms of how we use it, how we understand how it works in our body, because it's what we're mostly made of. I mean, this is basically a water planet. More water on this planet than anything else. And you have to count even the air we're breathing. They have atmospheric water generators that can pull 8 gallons of water out of the air at 20% humidity in a day. You can buy these for your house. Pull the water right out of the air. We're breathing it. 8 gallons in a day at 20% humidity. We're breathing water. Water's everywhere. And it really makes you think if water's everywhere, water holds memory, the air is holding memory. So having that understanding and setting intentions and understand that that's affecting the water in your body, that's how you're carrying that around. That's also affecting your field. We affect your field in the egg, and then that in turn is recorded in the water in the body. So that's a brief little discussion about that. I end up talking to clients about this all the time because they always want to know, well, why do we have to drink water? Why do we have to set an intention? And then we kind of take a deep dive into why we do that, because we're basically, it boils down to the fact that we're mostly water. And there's a whole nother conversation to have about this when it comes to cymatics and how cymatics, how sound affects water. And that's a topic for another discussion. I'll talk about that. That's the company's called Chromocymatics, and the cymatics is there for a reason, and that's directly related to water. So we'll have that conversation in another episode. So until then, love yourself. You're unstoppable. No one can stop you but you. Shine your light. Don't dim your light for anyone. Love yourself until the next episode.